Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Right now, all the massive tech giants are practically going to war over these huge cloud-heavy AI models. But recently, a totally groundbreaking edtech solution won a major hackathon by doing the exact opposite. We're going to be looking at ShikkhaAI. It's an AI-powered multimodal learning assistant, and it's designed explicitly for Bangla learners. Now, what makes this so incredibly fascinating is that it's not just another AI wrapper. Nope, it's custom-built to deliver personalized education in developing regions, literally thriving in environments that have little to no internet connectivity.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. First, the education gap. Then we'll enter ShikkhaAI, look at multimodal Bangla learning, peek under the hood, explore the offline advantage, and finally wrap up with the future vision. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The education gap. To really get what ShikkhaAI is doing, we have to understand the systemic crisis it was built to solve.
When you look at the current educational landscape, the contrast is honestly pretty stark. On one hand, you have high-tech AI access in the developed world, and on the other, the reality on the ground in developing areas. And the core issues here are totally systemic. For starters, there's a massive lack of intelligent learning tools built natively in Bangla. Because of this, weaker students just aren't getting that personalized guidance they desperately need. Add to that the fact that internet access is notoriously inconsistent, and hey, even when these students do get digital tools, they're usually stuck with a rigid, one-size-fits-all approach. We all know that's highly ineffective, right? It just leads to poor conceptual understanding and super low engagement.
So this brings us to a really massive engineering and human challenge. If advanced AI usually requires giant server farms and constant cloud connectivity, how in the world do we bring high-level, personalized AI tutoring to low connectivity areas and do it all in a native language?
Section 2. Enter ShikkhaAI. Because that is exactly the challenge these creators set out to solve.
Their mission statement is just incredibly clear. They say ShikkhaAI is a multimodal learning assistant that leverages text, voice, and image inputs to deliver personalized, Bangla-first education even in low connectivity environments. Basically, text isn't enough, English isn't enough, and online only definitely isn't enough. They custom-built an engine specifically to bridge this gap, ensuring that whether a student has full 5G bars or absolute zero connectivity on their phone, the learning just doesn't stop.
Just to be absolutely crystal clear on what this is, ShikkhaAI is an AI-powered multimodal learning assistant. Again, it's not just a basic chat interface tacked onto ChatGPT. It's a comprehensive, highly localized learning engine built right from the ground up. It's meant to keep functioning completely offline, giving interactive, intelligent support to kids who otherwise wouldn't have a tutor at all. Section 3. Multimodal Bangla Learning. Let's actually look at the user experience and see how a student interacts with this tool day to day.
The interface was designed with absolute accessibility in mind, catering to entirely different learning styles and technical fluencies through these progressive multimodal inputs. So a student can simply type a math problem, like 2x plus 4 equals 10. But if they struggle with typing, or just hate typing out complex math formulas, they can just tap the microphone icon and speak their question directly in Bangla. Or, and this is probably the most powerful part, they can use their device's camera to snap a quick photo of a printed or even a handwritten problem. The UI handles text, voice, and images totally seamlessly.
But what the student gets back is just as important. The smart explanation engine doesn't just hand over the final answer. It actually breaks down the logic. It provides a structured output, which is great, because it prevents the AI from rambling and really keeps the student focused. You get an instant short answer, a detailed step-by-step explanation, and a concise summary. And everything defaults to a student-friendly Bangla interface with optional English, and it even includes text-to-speech audio playback for students who just learn better by listening.
Section 4. Under the hood. Now this is where things get really interesting. Let's tear down the tech and look at the incredibly clever system design that makes this whole MVP tick. The architecture is broken into a really clean 6-layer stack. The user interacts with a web and mobile app that functions as a PWA. Now that means it can run like a native app entirely offline right on their device. Inputs like voice and image hit an API gateway, which enriches the request with the user's specific context, before passing it all into the crucial AI layer. That layer contains the text recognition engine, the language model, and a mathematical rule engine. Finally, it reaches the backend and data storage layer. It's incredibly clean and highly modular. Let's trace how a specific request flows through the lifecycle. The second a student inputs a question, the app instantly does an offline check.
If it's online, it forwards the query and attaches the user's profile, so it knows right away if they're a beginner or an advanced learner. Then the AI processes it. It dynamically chooses between a deterministic rule engine, which uses hard-coded math rules to guarantee perfect accuracy, or a flexible language model for more open-ended questions. Finally, an adaptive scoring engine logs the difficulty and whether the student got it right, seamlessly adjusting their profile for the very next interaction.
To quickly summarize the tech stack making all of this possible, they went with Next.js for a super snappy front end. The heavy lifting on the back end is handled by ASP.NET Core. For the AI, it relies on OpenAI's API paired with Math.js. And for reading those messy handwritten images, they're utilizing Terrasact. But honestly, the real magic here is the database strategy. They rely on Postgres in the cloud, sure, but they cleverly utilize SQLite to cache data locally on the phone itself. That is what allows the app to literally remember lessons without any internet connection whatsoever.
So when you connect that robust backend to the front end, you get these core feature modules. We've got text Q&A with math parsing, voice learning using speech-to-text, and the image solver. But even more importantly, we have the adaptive learning module that tracks progress and, crucially, the offline mode, which makes absolutely sure that all of this keeps running perfectly even when the Wi-Fi suddenly drops.
Section 5. The Offline Advantage. This brings us to the absolute standout feature of the entire project.
Building an AI app is one thing, right? But building one that delivers high-quality education without reliable internet is a masterclass in localized engineering. The offline architecture here acts like an intelligent traffic cop. There's a background service worker that intercepts every single fetch request. It constantly checks for a connection and pings a health API. If the connection fails, because let's face it, even in the middle of a massive city, the internet can just mysteriously vanish. It instantly routes the user's queries to offline capability layers. That includes a 100% offline, rule-based math engine and data sets saved right onto the actual device.
The contrast in their strategy here is just fascinating. In online mode, the system queries a lightweight cloud AI for those deep, open-ended conceptual questions. But in offline mode, instead of just throwing up a frustrating error screen like most apps do, the system gracefully falls back. It shifts to those hard-coded rules for math problems and taps into a preloaded local database. Get this, that offline dataset contains over 5,000 highly curated Bangla Q&A pairs covering math, science, and grammar. It ensures the student is literally never left hanging.
This setup creates a truly fail-safe system. Every normalized text query hits a classifier first to detect the intent. If it spots math keywords, boom, it routes straight to a fast offline math engine. If it's an open concept and they're online, it hits the cloud AI. But if that cloud AI is unreachable, it seamlessly falls back to a fuzzy search, basically scanning all that offline data for the closest matching answer. It's an incredibly resilient routing design. The engineering behind the AI prompt itself is also highly specific. The system dynamically injects the student's learning level and enforces strict rules behind the scenes. It basically tells the AI, always answer in Bangla and always use a three-part structure. It actually forces a direct answer, a step-by-step explanation, and a short summary. This guarantees the AI behaves exactly like a structured, helpful tutor, and not just some rambling chatbot.
Section 6. The Future Vision. Okay, so it's pretty clear why this MVP won a hackathon. Let's look at how this scales into a massive, region-wide educational platform. Their roadmap pushes this from just being a cool, simple app into a full-blown ecosystem. They are planning a conversational tutor for continuous follow-up questions. And get this, they want to power it with on-device edge AI. That means complex processing would happen right there on the phone. Throw in comprehensive dashboards so parents and teachers can track weak subjects, gamified leaderboards to boost student engagement, and even real-time exam simulations, it really becomes a truly comprehensive learning platform.
To sum it all up, the core value proposition of ShikkhaAI rests on 4 incredibly strong pillars. It leverages multimodal AI, so kids can learn via text, voice, or image. It guarantees offline access to overcome those massive infrastructure barriers. It delivers personalized learning, perfectly adapted to the student's level, and it does all of this with an uncompromising Bangla-first design. It preserves the cultural context and linguistic comfort, which really makes cutting-edge tech feel like home.
ShikkhaAI proves that the most impactful tools aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest cloud servers, but the ones engineered specifically for the realities of their users. When you combine smart, resilient architecture with deep empathy for the student's actual environment, you get magic. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. As technologies continue to improve, how will scalable, strictly offline AI completely transform education in developing regions globally? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep learning.